Okie dokies, artichokies, let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about a best fit line, which is the most common use of the slope formula that we saw in the last video, finding slope from 2 points. So I have for you here an example. First, I want to define best fit line. So a best fit line is a line that best fits the trend that we see in the dots. So on a scatter plot, right, if I was looking at these dots here, I would say that they are positive and positive linear because they are moving up in a positive way that can be defined by a single line, which I've drawn in here for you. Okay, so you see that? So a best fit line is a line that typically goes right through the middle of all your points. It should be the way all your points are moving, which normally means going right through the middle of it. We also call this a trend line because the line shows the trend of the dots. Remember we talked about trend, that is whatever the dots all happen to be doing. So we're going to take our slope formula, which if you recall is y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. And we're going to find two dots that land on my line. So I've located the dot 14, 12, right? My line went right through that dot. My line also went right through the dot 6, 5. Now, oftentimes on scatter plots, we won't have the access to grid lines, which is why it's really nice to know this formula because I won't be able to do this. But I can do this. I want to show you something. y2 minus y1. You're probably wondering where on earth does that come from in the formula. If you figured it out already, good for you. If you haven't, here's where this comes from. This is y2, correct? And this is y1. If I wanted to find out what this was, besides counting boxes, I know that it goes up to 12 and that it starts at 5. So what I can do is I can just do 12 minus 5, which equals 7. Right? And if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's 7 boxes. That's where that y2 comes in. y2 minus y1. And then we can do the same thing with x2, right? This goes all the way over to 14, and it starts at 6. So I can just do 14 minus 6, which equals 8. And if we count the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then they're 8. So this is where that formula comes from. It's the same exact idea we've been doing, so if you have grid lines, you don't need to use the formula. But if you don't have grid lines, this formula takes what we have been doing, counting boxes, and makes it a little easier should the boxes not be there. That's all it is. I have put my 12 minus 5 and 14 minus 6 into my formula. And I'm going to do 7 over 8, meaning that my slope for this formula is 7 over 8. Okay. Now, if I want to put this all together and find the equation of my best fit line, I would put my 7 over 8 as my slope, and then going to find my y-intercept, it looks like my y-intercept is right at 0, so I can either do plus 0, or I can just write it like this. Both work, and both are correct. Okay, just one more time. I just wanted to do this a couple more times with you guys, just to show you this same idea. So we have two scatter plots here. I have not drawn the best fit lines for them. And I don't have a ruler, so we are going to figure it out as we go. Okay, so on Nearpod, I want you to tell me, what is the trend of this scatter plot? Is it positive or negative? Hopefully you said it was negative. It happens to be a negative linear because you see I could put a straight line right through the middle and it would make sense. I would have dots on either side. So let's do that. So I'm going to try to put a straight line right through the middle of my points. Does it not have to pass through points? It's okay if it doesn't. Sometimes the best fit line won't pass through points. Okay, you see how that line is kind of ruffling the middle of my cloud of dots? That's what I want. And all my dots seem to follow it down, which is good because that means I've drawn a correct trend line. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to locate 2 points that are on my trend line. So it looks like I hit here and I hit here directly. So this right here is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7. And this here is 5, 3. Okay. So I found my 2 dots. Now, since I have grid lines, I can do this growth or slope triangle, but I want to give more practice to the formula. So we're going to, this is 2, this is 1. We're going to practice our formula. So change in y, which basically is just how tall is this side of the triangle, is y2 minus y1. So this is y2, so 3. And this is y1, 7. Oh, need that a little farther up. Okay. Then, if we're finding our change in x, x2 minus x1, that is this side of the triangle. So x2 is 5, and x1 is 1. So 3 minus 7 is negative 4, and 5 minus 1 is 4. Sorry, got a bit of a shadow here. Negative 4 minus 4 is a negative 1. Now, some of you, I think I have accidentally caused a fear of negatives. It's okay to have negatives. In this case, in fact, it's needed. If we were to rearrange these, especially on top, we wouldn't have gotten a negative. But if you take a look at this, the trend is negative, which means that my slope should be negative. Okay, so now that I know that m equals negative 1, we're going to go put together our formula. So negative 1 in the m spot, plus now we need to find out where does my line cross the y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, that may not be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So my b, my y-intercept, is 8. And that's the equation for my best fit line. Okay, let's do this one more time just to make sure that we are totally understanding it. If you completely understand it and are like, easy, then go ahead and start the lesson. If you want one more example, then feel free to stick around. So on Nearpod, if you guys could tell me, what is the association? Is it positive linear? Is it negative linear? Is it non-linear? Let me know. What is it? Hopefully you told me it is a positive linear line, because that's what it is. It's a positive linear scatter plot because my dots are going up, that's my trend, and I can put a line straight through the middle and I'll have the same amount of dots on either side. Okay, remember, if it kind of curves, then it's a non-linear. This one is pretty straight. So we're going to try to find the middle of all my dots, which looks like it might be right here, I guess. That's roughly right through the middle. Okay, some of this is guess and check. There is a correct way to do this, but you'll probably need Desmos to be super, super precise. Okay. So now, if you pay attention, you'll see that I've actually only crossed through one dot. And you might be thinking, oh no, that can be a little problematic, but we have a solution. So this dot right here is 3, 5. We can also take my B. Now my B, answer this on Nearpod, for my B, will my B be a whole number? Will my y-intercept be a whole number? No, it will not, because it does not hit directly on those corners, right? This is 1, it doesn't quite get there, it's a little bit above 1. So I'm going to say that this is about 1.2. Okay? So now I do have 2 points. One of them is a decimal. That's okay. It's going to happen. So let's do our change in y again and our change in x. So this is the second. This is the first. So my second one is 5 for y, and my first y is 1.2. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I put a comma there. 1.2. Let's make that point a little bit bigger. Okay, and then my y, our x2 is 3, and my x1 is 0. So we have to do 5 minus 1.2, which comes out to be 3.8. And 3 minus 0 is just 3. So we're going to take our handy-dandy calculator. And we are going to do 3.8 divided by 3, which comes out to be 1.266666667, which we're going to round to 1.27. Let's get that to refocus. Refocus. There we go. So that makes my slope 1.27. So my line for my best fit line is 1.27 x plus, we already know what our y-intercept is, 1.2. And there we go. I did want to show you an example of something that wasn't quite so pretty. A lot of your best fit lines are going to come out like this. They're going to have decimals and fractions. They're not going to be pretty because in reality, real life isn't pretty and real data isn't pretty. So that's totally okay. And that's the lesson. So go forth and find your best fit lines. Okay, make sure to get your line right through the middle of all your data, and good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.